I'm here with...
I'm here.
We are in the same place. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Roots and Refuge Farm. I'm setting the sprinkler up to water the greenhouse, and this hose is on. It's a lazy thing to do, because if I keep the hose off and set it up, then I have to walk over there again to turn it on. But if I pinch it like this, it saves me a trip. The risk is that sometimes I accidentally let it go and shoot myself in the face with the sprinkler. All right, let's get out of the way. Nailed it. One day, we will put irrigation in this garden. Probably by next year, I think. I don't know. I thought we'd have it done by now, but such is life, right? We make plans, we do our best, and then what happens, happens. It is beautiful golden hour here on the farm. I'm watering a lot of places you would not want to water in the evening. It can lead to some bacterial issues, fungal issues, just because, I mean, you're putting water on your plants before it's going to be the coolest time of day. But when it's so hot like it is here, especially if you're watering with a sprinkler, which basically watering with a sprinkler, I mean, there's just a certain measure of evaporation that happens. I water in the evening because I don't find that it makes a monstrous difference, and it's easier for me to be out here in the evening because I have to drag hoses. The main thing with gardening is you can read all the rules, but at the end of the day, you need to figure out what works best for you. There's a jungle back here. I'm so here for it. I cannot believe how lush everything is, even though we're in something of a drought right now. Still looks pretty dang good for how dry it's been. Let's come turn this on. I ordered some crates to store all these onions in. I need to get them out of the heat. And I'm gonna hang the garlic up, put all of this in the pantry where it's cooler, it'll store longer in there. I just realized where I stopped the side by side, it's getting watered by the sprinkler I just set up. So let's move this. It's been so hot and so dry that, you know, I say to people, if you want to know how your garden's dealing with something, go sit with it. Like if it's really, really hot and really, really dry all day, if you can't sit in your garden for the entire day without drinking water, without some shade or some cover, if it's going to be miserable for you, it's probably miserable for your plants. And it has been so hot and dry. And we're just trying to stay on top of it with keeping everything watered enough to be okay. But it looks like the hurricane's gonna bring us some weather next week where we're gonna get some water, and you know, we need, it's wild. I just left like the Midwest where they're having really awful floods. Definitely very different conditions than what we're dealing with. When it's really hot and dry, containers really need to be watered every day. I'm not gonna try to do it by myself because on this path, this is a little uneven, and I would just be nervous to turn it over. But I think I'm going to have Maya come help me move all these green stalks underneath the pavilion a little bit, just so they can have a little more respite from the sun with the shade, because our sun in South Carolina is so intense that you can see my plants are just a little stressed out. Actually, I should tell you, I always like to let you guys know about the green stalk sales because I have my green stalks. I get asked about them a lot. I really like them. I did a very extensive video, like reviewing green stalks, troubleshooting, all that stuff, just a couple of months ago. I'll put a link to it down below if you're the kind of person who appreciates a good review. Boy, I'll tell you what, it may be hot and dry out here, and that might not be fun for gardening, but sure does make the tomatoes taste good. There's the bright side. But if you want, you can check that out. Greenstalk is having their anniversary sale right now, and they have like their blue color. They have some different options, and they're on sale for a really good price. The stalks are under $100 before a coupon code, and you can stack my Roots 10 coupon code on that and get even more of a discount. So I'll put a link to the green stalk sale as well. If you've been on the fence about buying one, now would be a good time to do it. I've got some more seeds over here germinating where I had originally sown beans that got taken out by pests. And if you are sowing seeds when it's really hot and dry, you got to make sure that you're watering them every single day, because they can dry out and die really, really fast. If it's, you know, if the top inch or so of soil is getting real dusty, because you got to think these babies are coming out of their seeds and they've got one tiny little string of a root to get all the water they need to get up to the surface. So you've got to keep your soil moist. So I've been watering these every day. I mean, really, you may even need to water them twice a day, depending on how much sun it's getting. It's the next morning. Last night I was out here watering and I laid my camera down and got distracted, and the next thing I knew it was dark. So I got lost in the garden, pottering around, piddling. I have learned since having a YouTube channel here in the South, piddling just means messing around with stuff. Apparently other places it means something very different. So no, I was not piddling in that way in the garden. I was just messing with things. But I came back out this morning. I'm gonna set the sprinklers up again in different places than they were in last night. And then I want to tell you a little bit about my weekend and how I ended up with this. Alright, we're gonna do a bit of pepper picking and have a story time about this weekend. I was talking with Maya, and I actually think we're gonna sit down after we've processed a little bit and kind of really unpack the entire weekend and share our experience with you guys. This ended up being an incredibly impactful weekend for us. It was, I don't have the words yet to describe it. Just a lot happened. I mean, nothing crazy, but I would say more than anything, a lot happened in our hearts, and there were some kind of realizations made and a ton of gratitude, and we kind of want to talk about the whole weekend and the conversations we had and different things like that in a more extensive sit-down video. However, there was one particular part that I had to share with you guys ASAP. I shared with you all last week before I left that I was going to be meeting Charles Dowding. Now, if you have been here watching Roots and Refuge for any period of time over the last 6 years that I have been making content, you have likely heard me reference Charles Dowding. Charles Dowding is a fellow content creator and an author, and most importantly, a gardener. He lives over in the UK. I found his books first, and I ended up finding his YouTube channel. I learned a lot from him about no-dig gardening. That's kind of one of his big things, but I mean, he just has so much information about gardening and compost and seed starting, and of course he's growing in incredibly different conditions than I am, but I was able to just learn a ton and apply it to the way that I garden. And it just so happened that Benjamin, my youngest son, when he was just a little guy, 2 or 3 years old, he got really, really into watching Charles Dowding's videos. And so our bedtime routine for at least a couple of years was that in the evening, after we got ready for bed, we would lay down and we would watch one of Charles Dowding's videos. It was like Ben's bedtime story for a long while. And funnily enough, you know, the first time we ever met our friend Justin Rhodes, back before he was our friend, Ben, it was our first year as content creators. Ben was 3, and we were sitting in the back of Homesteaders of America. Justin goes up on the stage, and Ben starts freaking out, tapping everyone around and saying, "Justin Rhodes got out of the computer." So after that, he would watch Charles Dowding, and he would say to me, "But Charles Dowding is a real man." And I would say, "Yes, he is a real man." And so when I met Charles, of course, I cried and was completely overwhelmed with emotion. And I just kept thinking, "You're a real man," which is so silly. But I did get an opportunity to film just a little clip with him chatting. I wanted to be able to share some conversation with him with you guys, so here it is. I'm here
And I'm here.
We are in the same place.
Amazing.
Well, I want you to know, I do call you my gardening hero, which is probably a little dramatic, but you really have inspired me tremendously and taught me so much. In the early days of learning to garden, I found your books and I found your videos, and you're the one who taught me that I didn't have to do it the way everybody else did it, by just tilling up the ground. And I think that through what you're teaching, I've really learned to love the earth better, and so I really appreciate all of the work that you do.
So love to hear that. Thank you very much. Well, I must say you've been very supportive for me, because when I first came across you, I wasn't so well known. It was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yes, it's been several years now.
Yeah, more than even. And you know, I think that cross correspondence between you were quite established, I say, even at the time, as small scale homesteading and that kind of thing. It helped me as well. Mate, I've got now lovely connections with an American audience, as we've seen this weekend, haven't we?
How has it been for you being here in America and being adored by so many Americans?
Well, it's lovely.
Yes.
I mean, we're in Iowa, so we're right in the Central Plains, aren't we? And
yes.
Surrounded by cornfields.
Yeah, is that wild to see?
I've never seen anything like it.
So much space. It's just vast here.
Yeah, everything's bigger.
Yes.
I mean, even the arena where I was talking, you know, it's like, God, this is huge.
A friend of mine came over and said, our cars are bigger, our roads are bigger, everything here is bigger. So
the portions of food.
Yeah, the portions of food are definitely bigger. Drinks this big.
So what are your plans going forward then?
Well, after listening to you talk, I'm going to go home and build some compost bins out of pallets. And by I build, I mean he's going to build. He's going to build the compost bins out of pallets. We're just continuing to grow food and teach people to do that.
So good.
Got 9 more years of babies at home, so I'm doing that.
You're also making great coffee though, aren't you? I've really enjoyed the coffee.
I'm glad you did. Jeremiah texted me the first night, says, Charles really likes our coffee, and I was already back at my hotel at another conference, and I was like, Charles likes our coffee, so I'm glad that you do.
Yeah, medium roast, I really like
Yes, medium roast. That's our favorite. That's what we drink every day.
Right. Got me thinking I should have a roaster.
You should. Then you get all the coffee that you want. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Charles. You're such an inspiration. I feel like I got a gift in being able to come and be at a conference with you.
Great to meet you as well.
And hey, next time I'll come to you. I'll come see homemakers.
Woo. Amazing.
How awesome is that? Charles in real life was just as precious as he is in his videos. When I first started gardening, I was crippled by analysis paralysis. And you hear me say all the time, like, perfect is the enemy of good. Don't be crippled by analysis paralysis. Just planting is better than not planting. You're more likely to get something if you put it in the ground. Seeds want to grow. You hear these mantras in my gardening, but I didn't start that way. I actually started so anxious to do the wrong thing, and the reason why I'm so repetitive with those mantras is because it took a lot of repetition of them to get me to a place where I actually felt comfortable gardening. And so I know if that's where I was, that likely many of you are in that space also. The thing is that Charles Dowding is so laid back and confident in the process of gardening that he was one of the huge influences on me to be laid back in gardening. I love just sitting there listening to him talk this weekend. I was able to catch his second talk after I got into Iowa, and I just sat there on the front row and literally started crying while he's talking about compost, because I realized how much of an impact his laid back approach had on my peace in the garden. And it really impressed upon me how we multiply the culture of our heart. That Charles, by creating content, here some girl comes from halfway across the world, finds his books, finds his channel, becomes a gardener herself that's confident and laid back, and then turns around and starts making content sharing that same comfortable and laid back approach, which have created how many more gardeners that have that same bravery as they face their own maybe failures in the garden. And I had this realization because I was completely overwhelmed with emotion when I first met Charles, and he is so precious and so kind. Like, I've always had the impression from the content that he makes that he genuinely just really delights in the garden and just gets so tickled by it and loves it, and loves teaching it, that it's a passion for him. And I've related to that so much. But you know, you never know when you're watching. You assume these things, and I mean, it's not like I question that much, but I wasn't sure what it would be like to engage with this person in the flesh. And he is just as delighted and tickled and sweet and kind in person as he is in his videos. And it really, really moved my heart. When I first learned that he was making the trip all the way over here to the States for this festival in Iowa, I actually called Tom, who owns McMurray Hatcheries, a very dear friend of ours, and I thanked him. I was like, thank you so much, because it felt like a gift just for me that Charles was coming, because this is somebody who has inspired me so much, and the opportunity to get to meet him in person, it just felt like a complete gift. And you know, when I met Charles, I thanked him for making the trip, because I realized how inconvenient it is to leave your garden during the high season and to travel across the world to be able to come to something like this. It felt like such a gift for me. And I had the real epiphany, because people say that to me. People say, oh, thank you for coming all the way here, and thank you for taking your time to come here. And I've never really understood what they were saying, to be completely frank, because I feel so honored and thankful to get to go meet all of you when I go to conferences and stuff. So when people thank me for coming, I'm like, are you kidding? Like, this is amazing. This is like, I'm the blessed one here. I did not understand, because when I got to, you know, hug Charles Dowding and share my heart with him face to face, I realized, like, oh wow, this is what people have been saying to me. And it was really cool. Is anyone else suffering from peppergate this year? You know, last year a lot of people bought pepper plants and ended up with banana peppers instead. And though Benjamin's favorite peppers are sweet banana peppers, and so I always plant some, I really did not think that I planted this many plants of them, and I'm wondering if we're still having a seed mix-up situation, because I have a lot of banana peppers growing in the garden. So Charles did actually give me some really cool gifts while I was there. He gave me some of his seed starting plug trays that he uses, and he also gave me this awesome long-handled dibber, which I did ask him to sign. I told Jeremiah, I was like, look, the first garden tool I'll ever remember to not leave in the garden. I need to figure out some way to try to seal this to make it last. But my boys are like, are you going to use that? Because they all know. When I walked in, they're like, Charles Dowding gave you a signed garden tool. Mom, are you so excited? They're like, are you actually going to use that? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to use it, but I'm not going to leave it in the garden the way I do every other garden tool that I own. But Ben was bummed he did not get to come and meet Charles on this trip. We just couldn't work it out with all the logistics to bring all the kids. And however, one of the things that Maya and I really discussed this weekend is, I mean, we just really had the realization of how important these weekends are as far as community. We decided that a lot of the things that we've been saying no to as far as travel, which I think was right for the season we were in. We're getting a ton of stuff established. I think we're going to be saying yes to more, and I think we're going to be taking our kids with us, because I love community. I really, really do. I love being able to engage with people. I love the opportunity to get to, you know, spread the culture of peace and being laid back, and the realization that all of this stuff just works. I feel just intensely thankful for that. So again, to Charles Dowding, if you guys are not following him, I always assume everybody is, but I'll put a link to his channel. I genuinely think, as far as gardening content, he's the best there is. And of course, he's got lots of books. All of them are fantastic. I have learned so much from this man, and I hope that you guys get to experience that too, with the knowledge that he is just really just as sweet and precious and kind in person as he is in those videos. And to Charles, thank you for making the trek over here. You know, words do not really cover what it is that I would like to convey as far as gratitude goes, but thank you. All right, early morning, sprinklers are running. I gotta go milk my goats. We're actually riding up this morning. It is Independence Day, so happy 4th for those of you who are here, you Americans here with me. We're headed up to North Carolina to spend the day with some friends of ours, take the kids to go do something fun. And we're just like scrambling through farm chores right now to be able to do that. So thank y'all for hanging out with me today, all the days you do, for those of you who came out to the event. The next event I will be at on schedule is in September. I'm heading up to New England for Homesteaders of New England. It's hosted by my friend Jack Polner, and I have been very excited about that. I think I'm even more excited about it now, just really realizing the beautiful potential and value of weekends like this. I'll put a link to that website if you're anywhere in the area of New England. I hope that you will, you know, come out and spend some time with us, hang out with us, and yeah. So thank y'all. I bless you. I'm gonna take my dipper back inside where it will be safe. It's my precious. I bless you. Until next time.